Hi, this is Bob TV, and this is how I mixed Lynx 234, my cover of a Rammstein song. Okay, this is my Reaper session for Lynx 234. We're going to break this down track by track, and I'm going to show you what I did to make everything sound the way that it sounds. We're going to start with the very beginning, which is the marching, right here. This is a free sample I got off the internet. I will put a link to that site below. This is what it sounds like with no effects on it, just in the song. Sounds okay. Sounds almost exactly like the actual song, but I wanted it to be wider and better. So I have this Waves stereo doubler on, so I can turn the effects back on. So what this has is a direct signal, which is the native sound. I love voice 1, which is panned far to the left, right here. Delayed almost 10 milliseconds and detuned by 6 notes or cents maybe, positive. And then your voice 2, which is here, panned far to the right. Delayed 24 milliseconds and then detuned down 6 cents. I think it's in cents, C-E-N-T-S, to give it to make it sound like there's 2 different marching sounds. So I'll take the direct signal out and we'll just play it like this and see what it sounds like now. See how it split it from down the middle to both your left and your right. And then I just included the center channel, just turned down 10 dB, just so if you put it into mono, it doesn't kind of phase it out. So that's what it sounds like now. Keeps the stereo spread. It gives it kind of a chorusy kind of sound, which if it was downloaded on dial-up in the internet in the 90s, it probably would have sounded like that anyway. And then what I did was I wanted to EQ it a bit to make it fit better in the track. So here I cut out 120 hertz, so it takes out all the low end. I boosted a little bit of 300 hertz just to give it a little bit of thump. 790s, kind of that nasally sound, and then I cut everything above 15,600. So let's enable the EQ. This is what it sounds like all together. Turn it off. It's not hugely noticeable, but I will show you what each of those cuts and boosts actually do. That's all the low end that I wanted to cut out. There's that foot sound I wanted to keep. Play it again. There's that nasally sound I wanted to get rid of. And last, everything. Yeah, I can't even hear that. You probably can't hear it either. So that's the marching track. And I have it turned down a little bit because it was kind of loud to start with. And that, you can see here, comes up a couple times through the song. Easy. Done. See if there's any sends on that. No verb, nothing like that. Just the marching. Next, we'll move on to the guitar sound, which is right here. This is the guitars with all the effects on, everything panned, la-di-da. So that is my 7-string on one side, my 8-string on the other side, both playing in B standard tuning, both going into a metal zone, going into my 5150, and then into my 2 notes captor. So you can see here, guitar left. After the 2 notes captor, it goes into this, which is the fake guitar cab loader. So I have, it's called the Brownie back cab. Don't know a whole lot about that, but it sounds really good. Straight on the cab, and then I have a second one, 45 degrees. There's a miking technique where you put one straight on and one 45 degrees right beside it. That's what I'm imitating here. And I'll show you what that sounds like without with all the plugins turned off. And so there'll be no cabs. So it sounds like what it would sound like if you just recorded the actual amp out. You know, if you're writing a Nine Inch Nails song, that might work, but we're not. We're doing a death metal interpretation. Okay, so for now I'm going to put the guitar left and right. It's the same plugins on both. If I close this, and go to the right guitar, it's the same thing. Wall of sound and an EQ. So I will show you what that sounds like with no further processing on the actual guitar bus. Sounds like this. Pretty good. Now I'll loop that and I will show you the EQ that I did. EQing I did on just the on the left channel. So here I took out some 600. That sounds gross. I don't like that. It's got nasal region. Here 4K. I don't know, it sounds like crickets. If I crank the hell out of that. See how bad that sounds? Yeah, 4K. 4K is bad. Everything over, let's see here, 7300. That's just fizz and nastiness that nobody needs. So that's all cut out. Take that off. It gets a little nasalier, a little bit that 4K spike that we don't like. So I recorded one guitar left, one guitar right. I have my cab loader and a little bit of EQ. And you can see it's because the song has chunks of guitar and then none. That's back and forth throughout the whole song. The only other thing I did to that was no sends for reverb or anything. It was I went into here and I did some further EQ on both the tracks all at once. And then I put a multiband compressor on the low end. So let's start with what the EQ does. So let's turn that on. Again, I'm taking out more this 600 to 800 range, which is kind of that nasally whatever range. Added a bit of, say, 2000 here. And I'll show you what that sounds like and why I would have done that. So just so you know, for looping, I'm highlighting it. Turn this little button on here. This is the repeat button, and then it'll actually loop in this section. Okay, so there. So I'm cutting out everything below 125. Yeah. You don't want that. That's garbage. That's going to make a big mess of your bass and kick drum. 125, 100. See that whistly, nasally, blow your nose kind of gross. Cut that out. In here. Gives it that kind of textury sound. I boosted that just to kind of make it, the guitars kind of stick out a little bit. That's why it's a bump. It's sticking out. And then, so I've cut everything below 125 hertz. And then this is a trick that you put, it's called a multiband compressor. So it only compresses whatever bands of frequency that you pick. In this case, I've set it at 150 hertz, give or take. Every time there's a palm mute, your guitar sound blooms. It gets bigger every time you palm mute. So the song has a lot of that. So watch what happens when you put that on there. See? It's compressing it every time the chunk. So every time there's a palm mute, it compresses it a bit more. But when there's those chords I'm playing at the end, you see where it stops moving. So all that does is it just compacts that low end chunk when you're palm muting a guitar. Little secret there for you. And I cut them tight directly right on the grid. Here, I'll zoom in. You can see it's cut right to the grid. So now I don't even have it faded out. It just dies right there. So we've got a bit of a fade in because there's some noise at the beginning. You hear that little me getting ready noise, that. And then here I have a bit of a fade out because I think I was noisy at the end of the riff. But realistically, you can just cut them tight. As long as it sounds good, it is good. That's the guitars. Nothing fancy than that. One left, one right. Sounds beastly. let's talk about the lead guitar, little solo that I did, and then the acoustics. So this is the lead. This is what it sounds like by itself. Sounds pretty epic, even though it's not super tech. So this is, let's see here. This is the raw track with nothing on it. Sounds terrible. Again, that's through my 5150 into the wall of sound impulse loader. So you need that to get rid of that fuzzy noise. And then for leads, I find it's nice to remove all the low end from that as well, because all you're wanting to hear is the notes. So this is without the EQ, but with the cab loader on. Then add some cutting out all the low end, which you don't need. It's kind of like a whistly, boxy thing. And then, let's see here. Hear that nasty shriek? Cut that out. And then this is a bit of just a boost on the high end. And then just to smooth it out and make it a lot louder, I just put a compressor on it. Medium attack, slow release. Just to, again, bring the low parts up, the quiet parts down. About 3 dB here. Makes it more even. And then I have a send going to the ping pong delay. So that's again down at the bottom, which is the same exact plugin. I just have it set to ping pong mode. So then if I turn that off, sounds like this by itself. Sounds okay. It just sounds a little dry. So then you add the ping pong delay and it fills in the left and the right. See, left and right. Sounds cool. Lead guitar, baby. Now we'll talk about the acoustic guitars. In the real song, there is a clean guitar part. But I wanted to use an acoustic because that's super clean. So I've got 2 acoustic tracks. Sound like this. That's just me palm muting on a drop D guitar. You're saying to yourself, drop D, the song's in B though, guy. That's true. I didn't want to tune my acoustic down, so I actually put a pitch shifter on each of these tracks, left and right, and I dropped it 3 semitones. So that brings it down to B, drop B. So if I take this off, sounds like this. And then, that's how you get in B without having to tune your guitar. And then I did some EQ. Again, cutting everything out lows. This is common. You'll see always cutting out the lows because you don't want to mess with the bass and everything else. So we have that. That's just flub. You don't need that. Kind of annoying little nasally there, and then a big boost on the high end. And then what's this? Yeah, hear that little click? I don't know what that was, but I just got rid of it. And then just again to smooth it out, a little bit of compression. So you like to see the strums, big strums. So just bringing it down so it's not super loud after palm muting. And I probably could have put a multi-band compressor on the low end, just like I did with the guitars, to keep those palm mutes in check, but I didn't.